Brilliant. So can everyone see that?
Yeah, perfect.
That is the first hurdle of the afternoon out of the way. So that is me. My name is Siobhan, and the subject today is how to work with the Irish research system. So I thought the first thing that we should really cover off is who Knowledge Transfer Ireland is. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of us, if you're familiar with KTI. We're basically a central point of reference for any business research partnerships in Ireland. So we work with all the Irish universities and all the Irish institutes of technology, any publicly funded research organisation in Ireland. And we also work with entrepreneurs and investors to make it easy for them to access everything that's happening in the research system. Now, I had a video that was going to make it very easy to explain what knowledge transfer was, but I'm having issues with my sound this morning, so I'm just going to explain to you what knowledge transfer is. It is basically accessing any of the outputs of the research that's happening across the system, and you can do this by many mechanisms. You could engage in a consultancy, an academic consultancy with an institution, where you get a researcher to work on a project that you specify. You could also engage in collaborative research, and that could be anything from a smaller project covered by an innovation voucher to a larger research project which includes multiple partners. It could even be using EU funding. It could also be contract research, or if you are based in academia, you might be looking at carrying out getting involved in a spin-out company. So there's many different ways that you can access the knowledge from the research system and how you can license that out for the benefit of your business. So KTI, what we do is we try and bring predictability to the system. And what I mean by that is that if you want to license out a piece of technology from any of the Irish research organisations, the process of engagement should be the same wherever you go. So if you want to engage in a license of technology from UCC, it should be the exact same as licensing technology out from CIT. The commercial terms might differ because that is up to the institutions themselves to arrange with yourselves, but the actual steps involve the different types of clauses that should be in the agreements, the type of agreements that should be in place. They should all be pretty consistent across the system. So we also, part of what we do is working with industry to understand really the type of resources that are out there and what you can access and how to access them, because we know that that can be very difficult. If you don't have any existing links with a university or an institute of technology, it can be hard to know where to start, who to speak to, who's the relevant expert in your field that you might want to have conversations with. So we have some resources in place that can make that whole process of identifying your potential research partner that little bit easier. We also have a lot of practical resources available to you, which I'll go through in a little bit more detail further on. And we also provide funding to the technology transfer system in Ireland. So we provide funding to the universities and the institutes of technology to ensure that there's people there that you can speak to that can carry out these commercialisation deals and also carry out business development activities and promote all the work that's happening within their institution. So they're kind of your gateway into all these institutions. And what for us as well is really important is we monitor the system and we carry out regular reviews to ensure that everything's in line with international best practice. And we also make the results publicly available as well, so that you have an idea of the different breadth of activity happening across Ireland. And we also, we work very closely with the government departments as well for policy development. So to make that even more clear, those of you that are familiar with the Irish innovation ecosystem, you'll know that there's a lot of different actors and agencies involved in this space. It still can be quite difficult to know where to go for relevant funding, for relevant resources. So KTI kind of sits in the middle. We're a joint initiative between Enterprise Ireland and the Irish Universities Association. We do work with all the other state agencies that have an interest in research and development. We will work with the Chamber of Commerce network, with Republic of Work with anyone that's industry facing that has clients that have an R&D need. We also make sure that we're in regular contact with business and investors and entrepreneurs to know what their experience of engaging with the research system is, and if there is anything that we can do to make that process that little bit easier. And just this was off the top of my head, a number of reasons why you might want to consider working with your local university or Institute of Technology. There are academics out there throughout all these institutions that are experts in their fields, that are really aware of all the cutting edge breakthroughs in their fields. So you can get access to these people by engaging with your universities and IoT. So you can get access to expert consultancy services from these people. You can have these people acting as researchers on your collaborative research project. There's a number of ways to get them involved in your business. And also kind of the second point there, the state has invested quite a lot of money into facilities and equipment throughout the Irish universities and institutes of technology. So you can also get access to these facilities for your business. So if there is a specialist bit of kit that you need to carry out R&D, you can try and find this. It may be in your local university, it may be somewhere else in Ireland, but there is a list of the equipment that's available within all the institutions. And you can then negotiate an access agreement for that. And then last but not least, there is a lot of state funding available for research collaboration. So really, if you are looking at carrying out R&D, it's worth considering carrying out your R&D in collaboration with a publicly funded research organisation in Ireland, because there are a lot of state supports, from an innovation voucher, which is up to €5,000 from Enterprise Ireland, to a larger Horizon 2020 project, or a Disruptive Technology Innovation Fund, innovation partnerships. There's really a lot of funding out there. So one of the key documents that we have in Ireland, which is a real benefit to us that you may not be aware of, is the National IP Protocol. And that is Ireland's national commercialisation policy. We're one of the few countries in the world that has a commercialisation policy. And that is actually really important, because it really sets out in very clear, simple language the expectations of both sides. It's a framework for working with any university or any Institute of Technology, any research organisation, from Teagasc to the National College of Art and Design. They all signed up to this policy. And it really is important for all businesses, whether SMEs, multinationals, everyone is bound by this policy. And also for anyone working within the research system as well, it will set out the principles behind engaging in a license, engaging in a collaborative research project, how to go about creating a spin out, what are the state aid principles, any kind of policies that should be in place around conflict of interest as well, sets out best practice. And it's written in a very clear way as well that makes it very clear the expectations of both sides. So it'll set out principles like, if you are carrying out any knowledge transfer activities with an Irish research organisation, if you're carrying out a collaborative research project, the university should retain rights for teaching. It'll set out as well the principles behind accessing the intellectual property. I've just got a diagram here just to kind of illustrate that point. So that's one of the key considerations that people have quite a lot when they're looking at engaging with a university or institute of technology. People are often concerned about the intellectual property and what are your rights to the intellectual property following on from the research project. So I've just given you an example of what the IP protocol says about collaborative research. And it basically says that the IP ownership rights are dependent on the amount of industry contribution. So you can see on the left-hand side here that if you put in 100% research industry contribution into the research, you should have the right to assignment of the IP. Whereas as this diminishes, you may be entitled to an option agreement to a cost-bearing license, and as the contribution diminishes again, it may be an option agreement to a non-exclusive license. So it just sets out in really simple terms, you know, what you put in and what you should get out. And this document as well is supported by a number of practical guides as well, which really go into detail on each of these type of agreements. And on the KTI website, we have model template agreements available as well. So that would be your standard legal agreement for an exclusive license. We've got templates there for a standard non-disclosure agreement, consultancy agreements. There are hundreds of them on the website, and these agreements are pretty standard across the board now. You'll find a lot of the universities are using our templates because they are in line with best practice. They may change the branding a little bit, they may change one or two of the words, but it's a really good way that if you are approaching any of these type of engagements, to have a look, see the type of terms that will be involved in this, and it'll help you kind of be at the same starting point with your chosen research partner. So I definitely would recommend, if you are engaging in any collaborative research, to have a look at those agreements. We also have guides as well on best practice. So I'm just showing you here, this is kind of the suite of practical guides that we have available. You'll see this green document in the middle is a more concise version of the protocol. So shown you here, this is what the protocol looks at the moment. The purple guide is the main protocol, the blue one is the resource guide. We also have a shorter version. If you don't enjoy reading long policy documents, you might want to choose the shorter version. But this is supported by a suite of practical guides as well. So this covers everything from, you'll see the role of directors and observers when it comes to putting together a board, to confidentiality agreements, state aid guidance as well, which is really topical at the moment. Even a general guide to managing intellectual property and confidentiality. So there's quite a lot of information there. If there is anything that you feel is missing, please do let me know. We're always trying to keep these updated and make sure that we have as much information there as is possible and as is relevant. So I mentioned earlier as well that one of the key responsibilities of KTI is communicating the outcomes from the system. So last week, you may have seen it on the news, we've published our annual knowledge transfer survey. And that really is a snapshot of all the activity that's happening across the research system throughout the year, throughout the calendar year. So this might be a little bit hard to read, the writing's a little bit small on this, but what I can do is I can send you out the link to the document. The document itself contains a lot of information, a lot of case studies on other companies that have engaged with the research system and the results that they've gotten out of their engagements and the different steps that they've gone through. But you can see here that, you know, last year alone there was 26 new spin-out companies throughout the Irish system. 1,000 jobs linked to active spin-out companies. So they would be spin-out companies that are in business for more than 3 years and are currently employing people and have gotten investment. So that's quite a good number that we're quite proud of. 137 new patent applications filed. So it's really, we like to publish this information because it really gives you an idea of what's happening across the system. And it shows as well that our numbers do stack up really well internationally. A lot of countries don't publish these numbers, but we really are proud of them. So we really want to show people what's happening across the system. So the KTI website, I mentioned earlier that a key issue a lot of people will have is finding the right research partner. It can be a minefield to find that right expert that is relevant for your business. So we've got a lot of resources to help you identify that person or get closer to finding that research team that can really make that business difference to your business. So we have this finding a research expert tool on our website. If there is any keyword or any specific technology that you're looking for, any type of expertise that you're looking for, you can type it into a search engine on our website and it will bring up all the academics in Ireland and what they're active in. So that can be, you can test it out. I don't know if my technology skills are up to sharing multiple skills and going back to our website, so I'm not going to chance it. But if you type in artificial intelligence, for example, you will bring up a list of people that have been publishing under that topic. It will bring up a word cloud of the different subgenres that they are experts in, and it'll give you their contact details as well, so you can get in touch with them directly to discuss your research project with them. So it's a really good way of seeing who's active. You know, you might know people already, but you might want to still use this tool. There might be research teams active in an institution that you weren't aware of. So really would recommend using this. Also, each institution throughout Ireland will have a technology transfer office, and these people are really vital links for you into their institution. They are the people that are going to be able to help you to find your academic partner. They're able to do the commercial assessment on the IP. They'll help you value the IP. They're also very involved in the contract drafting and negotiations. So this is the office that you go to if you have identified a project that you want to get involved in. They can help you to put the right kind of legal agreements in place, and they can also help you to access that IP and license it out. It's in their interest to get the results of the research that they're involved in out into the commercial sector. So they are really good people to contact. And also I put down here that they across Ireland we have 45 recognised technology transfer practitioners. So that RTTP qualification is the highest international standard that you can get in technology transfer, and Ireland has the highest number of people with that qualification out of any country per capita. Just putting that in there. But it just shows that these people are really good at what they do. They're constantly undergoing training, and they're just really good people to contact and to help you out. This is just the research map. I'm sure you probably know where all these institutions are, but I mentioned earlier that through KTI we provide funding to the technology transfer landscape. So how we do this, it's we manage a funding program on behalf of Enterprise Ireland called the Technology Transfer Strengthening Initiative, TTSI. It's 34.5 million over 5 years. It's running until the end of next year. So that funding goes to institutions to work together as a consortia so that they can share learning, usually headed up by a larger institution working with a number of partners. So in the Cork region, you would have the Bridge Consortium, which is headed up by UCC, working in partnership with CIT, ITRLE and Teagasc. So they work very closely together, and they will be encouraging their academics to license out technologies, to engage in commercialization activities, and they share learning between them. So you will have case managers from UCC working very closely with their colleagues in CIT, Teagasc, ITRLE. So it's a really good way of sharing learning as well for some of the smaller institutions throughout the country that may not have as much commercialization activity happening, where they can benefit from the expertise of the larger institutions. We also have this Find RD&I funding tool on our website, which is really, really useful. I would definitely, if you look at nothing else, please have a look at this, because as I mentioned, there's a lot of funding supports available for your business, and it can be very difficult to know where to look, whether that is an R&D tax credit or whether it is a larger support like an innovation partnership or like a technology centre, an SFI research centre. What we've done is we've compiled a tool which will bring together all the public funding available for R&D, and you can filter that by the size of company that you are, by the type of research that you want to undertake, and it will give you a list of supports that you may be eligible for, and it will also give you a link to the correct contact person that you can speak to get more information. So we're constantly keeping that updated as well. It's just a really easy way to navigate that landscape and bring everything together in one place. We also, through the website, the universities and IoTs will send us in any new technologies that they have available to license out into the marketplace. So you can search that by institution, you can also search it by the sector that it might be under. I've just pulled up these four, tried to keep it local about the type of technologies that we have there. So I'm not a technical person, so I'm going to have to try and explain it in layman's terms, but you'll have from CIT, academics have developed a new algorithm for predicting electricity prices, to you know, anything, a new design pattern for lithium-ion rechargeable battery. So that would have been patented by UCC. They are looking to license out that patent to industry. So this licensing database covers a lot of different sectors. There's lots of interesting research up there that is to be licensed out. So these are basically research projects that have been completed. The results are there ready to be licensed out. So it's just a really easy way to find out if there is anything that has been done that might benefit your business. And then also, I just wanted to tell you about a KTI webinar series that we're running as well at the moment called Unlocking Knowledge Transfer. It is on the first Tuesday of every month from 11 to 11:45. And we cover off a wide range of topics that are relevant to the Irish research sector. So our next one is the 6th of October, and we're looking at artificial intelligence. This is obviously a new kind of disruptive technology, and we're looking at the ways in which it can be applied to traditional Irish industries. We've got a speaker from the CEDAR Centre, which is an Enterprise Ireland Technology Centre, and they will be involved in R&D projects focused on applying artificial intelligence, machine learning. We also have a speaker from IBM Ireland, and they will be giving examples of how they use artificial intelligence in the healthcare sector. So they'll give a case study of how they've applied that to their business. In the past, we've covered off topics around finding the right research partners, intellectual property in general, looking at some of the research infrastructure that's available. In the future, we'll be looking at topics such as trade secrets, other technology-specific and sector-specific subjects that are out there as well. So if there is anything that you have a keen interest in that you want us to explore, definitely please do get in touch with us, and we can try and get that information together for you. That was everything from me. This is my contact details and my email. So if you do have any questions even following on from this, please do feel free to get in touch, and I can get you out whatever information you need. But I've done a lot of talking this morning, so do you guys have any questions that you want to ask me, or have I covered everything that you want to know? What I can do is I'll send you out even the link to our annual knowledge transfer survey, because I think that really brings to life knowledge transfer in Ireland. That's everything from the numbers that I've shown you about the outputs, but we also have quite a lot of case studies in there showing the type of activities that are happening across the research system. And you know, you'll have heard of a lot of really good news stories from the Cork region recently. You may have heard of Precision Biotics, a UCC spin-out that was acquired by a Danish company. So they would have been a team from UCC that would have licensed intellectual property out of the institution and then built a successful business on that. We also have an example in there of Water Technologies Ireland, which is a company that specialises in industrial wastewater treatment, and they had technical challenges, so they worked very closely with CIT to find a solution for that. So that would have been a consultancy engagement using the Kappa Technology Gateway network in CIT. So it really goes through a lot of detail and speaking to the people involved in those companies and the people involved in the institutions, explaining how that process came to be. Does anyone have any questions? No. Well, with that, I guess, since it is lunch and learn, you guys can have time to have lunch.
Thanks very much, Siobhan. The only thing I was just going to ask was the webinar you were talking about. How do you get access to that? Is that a free online webinar?
Yeah, so it's you can find the details on our KTI website. So all the webinars are free to access, and we do promote them through our LinkedIn channels and social media. But I can send you out a link to this one.
Perfect, that's great. Thank you very much. That was very good, very informative.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. Well, with that, I will bring the webinar to an end this morning. Hope you all have a lovely afternoon.